This week in VCT, Valorant might be joining the Esports World Cup next year in Saudi Arabia. We talk about the contracts for all regions, and China have been making some very late changes. So let's first start off with the rumor mill, and the biggest rumor going around is that Valorant might join the Esports World Cup in 2025. Now, this is a rumor that came up thanks to a leader grab on Twitter. Where the main thing about this is obviously VCT is going to be in it along with like League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics, mainly Riot Games. But I think the thing that everyone is kind of looking at is that there is no game changes. Now we know how do I put this lightly? Controversial, I guess you can say, how Saudi Arabia is with their human rights and LGBTQ stuff as well, and obviously women rights as well over there in that country. So I mean, it's difficult. Like obviously one I could definitely remember is F1 Academy. Yes I'm making a bit of a weird analogy, but obviously F1 they obviously I think in 2024 they put the opening season of the F1 Academy in Saudi Arabia, which I kind of questioned, not because that I don't think it's good, obviously for F1 Academy to really start there, but it's just kind of like, well, we kind of know what like how Saudi Arabia really is, but kind of like with like women's rights and human rights and all that stuff. So it was definitely a bit of an interesting way to really start a season, but I think worked out really well for them. Well, yes, I'm a bit disappointed, obviously, that game changes will not be there, as they are basically a staple of VCT. You kind of have to look at how it is in Saudi Arabia. I think if it's in any other country, if it's in any other country, then absolutely we will be seeing game changes. But because like because Saudi Arabia is, or Esports World Cup hosted in Saudi Arabia, it kind of we kind of have to look at it a bit sideways. Like obviously, yes, there'll be some challenges if they actually did put it into if Game Changers did put it into the Esports World Cup, because obviously LGBTQ and all that other stuff as well. If they want to, they could, but I don't think Riot is really wanting to try that, which is very disappointing. I would love to see a Game Changers in the Esports World Cup, but obviously we need to remember this is Saudi Arabia we are talking about. Obviously, the sports washing in Saudi Arabia is very well documented. I think a lot of people have talked about it. SciShow, I remember he talked about it. Even Leader Grev as well. I think he made an article about sports washed regarding Saudi Arabia. So obviously it is a bit of a murky situation. While it is, I guess you could say it's nice that Riot is now going to be in the Sports World Cup. People would definitely be looking at it sideways, as obviously Saudi Arabia, they have a lot of money to throw it at. So like yeah, so people definitely could be looking at this a bit sideways. I mean, I know a couple games, I think CS, Overwatch, Dota 2, I think might have also been part of that. I think even Sim Racing, I'm pretty sure was also in Saudi Arabia, I believe. So like yeah, like okay, like if it was in any other country, I think everyone would be supporting them, but because it was the least in Saudi Arabia, everyone is looking at it a bit weirdly, and a bit cautiously as well. I will leave a link to the article down in the description below so you can read it for yourself. It is definitely a very interesting read, obviously of mainly of the challenges if Riot wants to actually commit with the game changer side, because obviously it's a bit of a difficult situation there, but I'll leave a link down in the description below if you want to read the article for yourself. And the other rumor is that Dummy is potentially leaving Team Secret thanks to Tanmay. Why? If this does come true, why? I don't understand the reason of doing this, because I mean I thought it was pretty good. Like their roster, I mean, they added Wild Oreo and 2GE into the lineup, like in stage 2, and Dummy as well. I'm pretty sure was a head coach full time during that time, and they look pretty good. And it was literally the best. I mean, the next best thing to do is to build that up. build it up into next year. But for some reason, it looks like they're not doing that. So I'm scratching my head a bit on why they're potentially going to be doing this late as well to the offseason. While yes, Pacific are starting later compared to everyone else, it's still a weird change that potentially might be happening. Let's now talk about Rostamania. First, start off with Baby Blue and Mr. Carney joining JD Gaming. Now, obviously, I did talk about in my last episode that Viva, Ego, and Sword9 will be leaving the team. Spoiler alert, they did. Well, not, yeah, both are basically, all three of them have left the team. So they've now added Baby Blue and Mr. Carney as their replacements. Mr. Carney, I'm very surprised about. I thought Mr. Carney, I thought he was going to stay, in XLG, apparently not for some reason, but I believe he's going to be now the new IGL for this team. While originally he's going to be Sword9, now it's going to be Mr. Carney. It's this weird situation there. As for Baby Blue, I'm a bit surprised. He was part of Wolves Esports for a bit, and then he left, and then he, I think joined a, free agent team, pretty sure, with, like, YOU, with FFS, I think with Scales, I believe, might have been there as well. It's basically, like, majority of, like, the Wolves players, and then YOU, and then I think another player, I believe. I think they came fourth, I believe, I'm pretty sure, in the Ascension China, so they're still pretty good. I don't know how good this team is going to be now with basically, well, you have like Stu, YA Chen, Jakuro, now you have, and now you have Baby Blue and Mr. Carney now in, I'm pretty sure, as the starting lineup. They do have Billio as the head coach still, so at least they still have a coach, but it's still a very weird situation what's happening there with JD Gaming. Next up, we have Dynamite, who has officially joined TEC as a full-time player. Dynamite used to be a player, I believe, for Trace Esports. He was normally well known as Zhao, I believe. I don't know. I mean, I think Dynamite is maybe their best option just because of the experience obviously he brings with Trace Esports. But at the same time, they still have like two other players on trial, I believe. I know one of them is Snail. I can't remember who the other one is on top of my head. But I know they have two trial players, I believe. So what is it really going to be with, you know, like if they're even going to make I should say, like, are they going to have like one of their, like, another trial player in as a full-time player? Not too sure, but I think Dynamite is maybe their best option considering of the amount of experience that he brings to the table. Kailu have also been very busy, officially adding 5cm into the lineup and also changing their coaching stuff. Remember when I said about Ego leaving the team? Yeah, ignore that. He didn't actually. It was Hypnotizing who left the team, not Ego. Ego is still the head coach over there in JD Gaming. So the coaches now for Tyloo includes Sword9 as the head coach, Billio, and Hypnotizing. China's always confused me. I mean, okay, having 5cm, yes, there's obviously the meme of 5cm, you know, I'm not gonna say it, but I think you already know the meme and stuff. It's weird because I saw Wikipedia, Sword9 and initially retired, and then he joined Tyloo as a head coach. Okay, sure. I guess, yeah, so this is a completely new coaching staff, with Sword9, Billio, and Hypnotizing. Basically, majority of them were from JD Gaming. So, why? I don't know. I don't know how to think about this coaching stuff. Yes, they have a lot of coaches. Yes, some of these coaches have had success. I think Billio and Sword9 definitely have had some success in their lives. But it's still weird to me that they've made this change so late into the season. I can understand adding 5cm because he has been with the team for a while and has also competed as well in some offseason events for the team. But with the coaching staff that they have, originally it was looking like Sunshine was still going to be the head coach, and then he left, and then now Sword9, Billio, Hypnotizing are going to be now the new coaches. It's good, yes, that that's not just one coach, but I think 3 is maybe the max, or even 2 is maybe the max. Maybe 3 is maybe a bit too much, I'll be honest. But Tyloo, I still expect him to struggle, even with these coaching staff changes, which I think is still pretty good. It might be, and it's definitely maybe an upgrade compared to Sunshine. I still think that they're going to struggle, in my opinion. And the final Rostamania news is from XLG, which thanks to Ansox, Anaxox, I don't know how you say his name, and Viva joining the team. Viva was literally now joined alongside Coconut for some reason, which I already talked about, I believe. I'm pretty sure I already talked about Coconut joining XLG, but apparently it wasn't announced or something. I don't know. It was weird when I saw that he was announced again to join XLG, even though it was quite well known that he was going to be joining XLG. Coconut will be the new IGL thanks to Mr. Kani departing to join JD Gaming. As for Anaxox, Anaxois, I don't know. I still don't know how you say his name. He's a Russian coach basically, so it'll be a full Russian coaching lineup with Savoya and that name, which I'm not going to say again. I think this actually might be a good change for XLG. I mean, they won an off-season event, which is already pretty good stuff for them. Yes, it's still an off-season event, but still, I mean, stuff can definitely change. I think having Viva in is a great addition. I think we saw how consistent he was in JD Gaming. I don't think he was. He definitely had some moments which really questioned me, but I think he was maybe like the only star player other than Stu, in JD Gaming. So with Viva joining the team, I think that's great. Having Coconut as well as the IGL might actually be pretty good as well. I think Coconut has impressed me a bit during the off season. I think he was very, very good in my opinion. So I think he'll be a great replacement there for Mr. Carney as well. Having another coach is always great, just not having too many coaches, you know? Otherwise, it's going to be a bit difficult to coach them, but I still think XLG is still going to be pretty good for the 2025 season. Now moving out to challenges, and first off, and what was the only one is Japan Split 3. The top 4 have advanced to the Japanese 2025 Split 1 tournament, which includes Riddle, Noah's Fox, Exist, and BC Swell. So I was literally behind the top 4 in 5th through 6th, which includes Babo and Delight. 7th through 8th, Blue Bees and Esports Team AD. 9th through 12th, Team Seibei, Reject, Sengoku Gaming, and Striders. 13th through 16th, which includes Fave Gaming, Crest Gaming, Zest, Accelerate, and Asna. So I guess to end this year of This Week in VCT, let's talk about the contracts. And it's going to be a bit long, so bear with me, but there will also be chapters if you want to skip to Americas, China, EMEA, or Pacific, whatever you really want. So let's first start up with Americas and 100 Thieves. The contracts as follows, as Xander, Cryo, Asuna, EU, and Busio all have a 2-year contract, while Zeeks have a 3-year contract, 2026 for the players and 2027 for Zeeks. Not too bad, in my opinion. I guess it gives them, I guess it gives them a bit more stability on their players and their roster, basically. Having Xanderin, I think, is still pretty good for the team. It definitely helped them out in the controllers, and as well, I guess as well also help out. I think it's a pretty good upgrade compared to Bang, but at the same time, Bang I think is largely slept on, so we'll see how that goes there for 100 Thieves. Next up is 2Game Esports, and it's basically all 1-year deals for the entirety of the roster. Silence, Gerbera, LZ, Prize, Zap, and Spikes, including Fatal as the coach. I'm not surprised. I think it's quite normal for Ascension teams to have their players as a 1-year deal, just in case if it blows out proportion, like Bleed Esports, for example, or even Gentlemates as well. So, not too bad. I'm not surprised. Cloud9 has basically signed Oxy's life away. Everyone with a 2027 contract with Mitch, Vic, and Zeppa. Oxy has a 2028 deal contract, which is basically 5 years, I believe. And then a 2-year deal for Emmy. So basically 3-year deal for Mitch, Vic, and Zeppa, and a 4-year deal for Oxy. Not too sure what's going to happen with Nets. That's a bit of a question mark. It's not actually in the database yet. I'm pretty sure Moose is still there, but I decided not to include him considering he's on the bench. I think his contract is, I think, around 2027 or 2026, I believe, as well. So I guess he's still under contract, but we don't know what Nets' contract is going to look like. If I have to maybe guess, maybe around 2027 or even 2026, in my opinion. Evil Geniuses is up next, and a 2-year deal for Derek and Nature, a 1-year deal for Superman, and a 2-year deal as well for EA and Icy, and a 3-year deal for Potter. Not surprised, Potter also just re-signed to go for a 3-year deal into 2027, so that's definitely a good sign there for EG. But all in all, I'm not surprised. I guess I was kind of expecting more from Superman. I thought he was gonna maybe get a 2-year deal with just like his other teammates, but apparently not, so I was a bit surprised there. But I'll be interested to see if Superman does re-sign during the season or even maybe during the offseason potentially, but we just have to wait and see. Furia is maybe the only American scene which I couldn't get all the information about, obviously other than Cloud9, which I have majority of it. Khalil, Havoc, and MW0, all of them have a 2-year deal. As for Heat, Rafa, and Pio, not too sure. My guess, also same boat, 2-year or even a 3-year deal, and maybe for Heat and Rafa, maybe a 2-year deal, maybe for Pio. But Khalil, Havoc, and MW0 going with a 2-year deal into 2026. Pretty interesting. I think MW0 and Khalil, I think all of them were still in 2026. As for Havoc, I think he was also maybe the same, if not maybe just a 1-year deal into 2025. But not too bad, I'll be honest, of a choice there. But I'm getting to guess maybe Heat, Rafa maybe end their contract maybe around 2027. As for Pew, maybe 2026 in my opinion. G2 Esports, majority of them are still in their current contract deal, now ending I should say next year in 2025. Jogma is the only one now with a 2-year deal into 2026. Not too bad. I don't think any of these players really re-sign except for Jogmo, who joined the team. So my guess is that everyone, Jonah P, Leaf, Trent, Valorant, and even Josh RT, I think they're probably maybe going to sign maybe for 1 more or maybe 2 more years. Pro Esports also in a bit of a similar boat as well. Shy, MTA, Kesnet, Melser, Adverser, and Adam, all of them with a 1-year deal into 2025. Mazzino has a 2-year deal going out from 2026. I'm a bit surprised that Kesner didn't re-sign and potentially extended his contract. I can maybe understand maybe Adverso as he just joined, including maybe MTA. I thought maybe Meltzer and Rashai could maybe extend their contract, even potentially Adam, because I think he's been really good for this team as a coach. But Meltzer, well, not Meltzer, Mazzino is the only one who kind of has a bit more stable future compared to everyone else. Leviathan is next, and the star roster duo, I guess you can say, I'm not too sure. Demon One with the 2026 contract, including with King and the Tank. Comtex and Itapata with the 2025 deal. I'm going to guess that Comtex and Itapata deal are still carrying over from this year in 2024, so they only have 1 more year, I guess you can say, of their contract. The Tank, King, and Demon One, they have 2-year deals. I believe King, I'm pretty sure, is carrying over from his previous deal. So I think it was 3 years. Now it's gone down now to 2 years, I believe. The Tank and Demon One, they signed for 2-year deal just for more stability. So no surprises there, I'll be honest, from Lev. Moving now to Loud, Kerosene, and 2Es, and including STK. Both of them, all 3 of them, pretty sure, are still in their contract deals from last year. Sorry, from this year. So their contract ends in 2025. Pankada, Vinny, and DG Zin, all those 3 contracts ends at 2026. Once again, no surprise. I think it's kind of normal for these partnership teams to sign a player for maybe max of 2 years, just for more stability. Obviously, give them give them some time in the first year, 2025, or yes, 2025, and then if they improve in 2026, then you can make that contract, then potentially maybe extended. So it's kind of normal, I'll be honest, for Loud. Not so for MIBR Artisan, still in his 2024 contract, which I'm not surprised about. So in 2025. Xenom, Quarter Zero, and Nosware, all of them with 2026. Aspas only signed for 1 year, which bit surprised about. I thought, considering that he basically built he built this roster, I thought he was maybe going to stay for maybe the same time as maybe everyone else with Xenom, Quarter Zero, and Nosware, but apparently not. So that's definitely surprised me there. Fraud, also with the 2025 deal, I'm gonna guess he's still from 2024, so that contract still carries over. But I'm still very surprised that Aspas signed a 1-year deal. I was not expecting that whatsoever, but I'm not too sure if he's ever gonna re-sign. I guess it kind of depends on if MIBR makes it to an international event. As a potential and definitely a possibility as well that Aspas will stay for another year. But I'm gonna guess that this might be just a trial year for him and just to really see how this team really goes. NRG, majority of them have a pretty good future. Ethan, Som, and Finesse, all of them have a 1-year deal. Bonk has a 2-year deal, including Verno, while Mada has a 3-year deal. No surprise for Ethan, Som, or Finesse, they signed this year in 2024. No surprise well for Bonker, Werner, or even Mada, who signed this year for I get for the start of the 2025 year. I guess it kind of shows that they want to put their future on Mada, which absolutely makes sense because I think he was very, very good. Werner has also as well surprised me during the offseason, so I think NRG has some pretty good young talent for the future. And the final one is from Sentinels with Narrate and Bang with a 2-year deal, including Kaplan, Zekin, John QT, and Zelsus with a 1-year deal, while Redux has a 3-year deal. I decided to add him in, considering that he has basically joined the team as a sub. I mean, Zekin, John QT, and Zelsus, they're going to be out of contract by the end of next year. I see them maybe re-signing John QT and Zekim. Not too sure about Zelsus though. I think Zelsus might be on the chopping block, but it's quite interesting to see as well some of these players kind of on their basically kind of on in their contract deal. I mean, like Aspas, for example, in MIBR. Are we potentially going to see him in another team for the 3rd year or 4th year in a row? Not too sure, but I think contracts are going to be pretty interesting in Americas. China's up next, and first up with all gamers, Bunt, Monk, Spitfires, Delb, Kyra, including September 7th as well. I don't know who LSN is, but I searched him up. I'm pretty sure LSN is a Crossfire player or Crossfire streamer, I believe, for all gamers. I'm not too sure why he's on this, but whatever. Bunt is the only one with a 1-year deal. Monk, Spitfires, Delb is on a 2-year deal, while LSN, for some reason, Kyra, and September 7th are on a 3-year deal. Not too sure about X3B and Player. My guess, also maybe the same deal, maybe as Kyra, September 7th, and as LSN, can't speak for some reason. 2027 deal, I'm guessing, for X3B and Player, considering that some of these contracts in China are a bit ridiculous. Bilibili Gaming, a 1-year deal currently for K-Knight, YZ, Levias, and Neff with a 2-year deal, while Rashia has a 3-year deal. Not too sure about Bale. I'm guessing maybe 2025 deal as well, in my guess. So K-Knight will be basically this will be his contract year. So not too sure if he's going to re-sign with the team. I feel like he might maybe, but I'm not too sure. It looks like that they will be keeping YZ, Levias, and Neff potentially for another year. And as for Rashia, I think this is his first VCT team, so I expect maybe they're going to be trying to build in. They're going to give him maybe a couple of years for him to build up into his potential. Dragon Range Gaming, who have a very weird roster still. Nick, Tavarius, Luke, Spirit, Z1, all of them with a 2027 3-year deal. Vakashu, JKH, and LT, also with a 2-year deal. Kangshu and Flexem, also with a 3-year deal with Nick, Tavarius, Luke, and Spirit Z1. It's quite interesting that Vakashu is the only one that has a 2-year deal with the players. Both coaches also have a 2-year deal as well. I guess I'm not surprised considering that Vakashu is also an importer player, so I'm guessing that they put the importer players on a lesser contract or like a less years contract as they're just an import, so I guess it'll be more. I guess it'll be a bit more difficult for them to move out in case if they do not, well, if they decide not to re-sign with that team. So yeah, it looks like DRG are really banking on this team to do well, because they kind of have to, because if not, then they're going to go back down to Tier 2 China, which is a bit of an interesting place in my opinion, but we'll see how they really go. Next up is the championship team, Edward Gaming, a 2-year deal for everyone except for Century. Here's a 3-year deal, which is, I guess, not surprising considering that he kind of starts in 2025, so whatever. But everyone else, like Shishu, Nobody, Smoggy, Kang, Simon, and even Muggle, all of them with a 2-year deal. As for Wood A1, considering that he is relatively young, my guess is maybe a 3-year or even a 2-year deal maybe for Edward Gaming. I'll be very surprised if he signed a 1-year deal, because that kind of doesn't really make sense to me, but I'm not too sure. Fun Plus Phoenix, 3 people currently will be under the contract year next year. Ion, Life, Yosemite, and York, all of them are quite safe, with Yosemite with a 3-year deal, everyone else with a 2-year deal. Autumn, Berlin, and Nathan D with a 1-year deal. Like I said with Vakashu, I'm not surprised with Autumn, considering that he is basically an import, so no surprises there. Berlin, I mean, he definitely picked up some pace later on onto the season, so I'll be very surprised if they do let him go. Nathan D, not too sure. I think Nathan D should be okay as well, but obviously stuff can easily change in FPX. As for JD Gaming, Only Jakuro and Ego are in their contract year in 2025 with only 1-year deal. Zion, Stu, and YHN with a 2-year deal, while the two new players are Mr. Kani and Baby Blue, all of them with a 3-year deal. No surprises. I'm not too sure if Jakuro is ever going to come back. I don't know, considering that he was in a very weird situation last year where he was bench and then he joined. Well, I wouldn't say he joined, but he played for the team pretty sure for the rest of the year. Like they made quite a lot of roster changes in 2024. So not too sure if Jakuro is ever going to come is going to re-sign with the team in the future, but we'll see. As for Ego, it kind of maybe has to re-sign with them if he doesn't want to get kicked out, like he was rumored to potentially be kicked out, but we'll see what happens with him. Nova Esports is looking to be pretty busy during the offseason of next year. Everyone except for Swell are in a 1-year deal, so it's going to be chop for Nova Esports. Swell only has a 2-year deal, which I'm a bit surprised about, but to be fair, he has competed in China for a while, so I'm going to guess he's quite comfortable with it. So yeah, CB, Guang, Uyo, Obi-Wan, Azir, and the coach 24K, all of them with a 1-year deal. TEC continues to surprise me with Abo Black Haldong with a 2-year deal. RB in his contract year deal into 2025. 3 Watt and After also in a 2-year deal. Not too sure about Kawaii Dynamite. My guess maybe Dynamite is maybe going to be in a 3-year deal. Kawaii maybe on the same boat maybe as RB or even in a 2-year deal for some reason, as I swear I did not see him play at all this year, but not too sure though. RB, interestingly enough, in the 2025 deal, yes, is carried over from this year in 2024, but I'm not too sure if he's ever going to come back to TEC. Trace Esports now, everyone is in a 2-year deal, so they're pretty safe. I'll be very surprised if they make any changes. I'll be honest. I'll be very, very surprised. But everyone on a 2-year deal, which is good. Next up is Tyler's. They have some very weird contracts and stuff. Only HFMI and Ninebody have a 2-year deal. Everyone else with a 3-year deal. So Coldfish, Eren, Slowly, 5cm, and Billio as the only coach showing up, only with a 3-year deal. I mean, like I said, China have some very weird contracts. Not as weird as Pacific though. I mean, some of those teams, my god, they're holding a lot of players in contract jail. It shows that Tyloo want to be better. They want to have some of these players around. Actually, I just realized Aaron is actually in a 2026 deal, so he joins Ninebody and HFMI in a 2-year deal. So apologies for that, but looks like potentially maybe Coldfish, maybe even Slowly, 5cm, all of them might be maybe the future of Tyloo, but I'm not too sure. HFMI, I just want to say as well, will be now the new IGL for this team, but I still don't think Tyloo are really going to do anything. My new favorite team, Wolves Esports, Eurocore, and She-Fat Baby with a 1-year deal. So their contract will be ending at the end of 2025. 2-year deal for Fade and Juicy, including Spring, and a 3-year deal for Lysol. Not surprised by Lysol. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think Wolves probably have a pretty massive buyout for any team to potentially buy Lysol out. I would maybe expect maybe Eurocore and She-Fat Baby to maybe stay if this season goes well for them. Spring, not surprised. I think his contract continues in the 2024 deal. Juicy, who signed obviously during the offseason, has a 2-year deal. Fade as well, signed during the offseason. Not too sure about Via. My guess maybe 2025 or 2026. Just kind of depending on if they want him to be in the future, but I'm just not too sure. And the final Chinese team is XLG, with majority of them pretty safe, except for Havoy as the coach, who only has a 1-year deal. Viva has a 2-year deal. Happyway, Raga, Martin, and YOU with a 3-year deal. Not too sure about Coconut and Zhaijian, but my guess, maybe 2-year or even a 3-year deal, my guess, considering that they only joined during the offseason. But at the same time, China's a bit unpredictable with their, I guess you could say, with the contracts, but I probably expect them to maybe be there for a pretty long time. Moving now to EMEA and BBL Esports, a 2-year deal for Chiwa, Profect, Social Blee, and Markney, and Lewin with a 3-year deal. Not too sure about Yampi. My guess, maybe a 2-year deal, my guess, for Yampi. But it shows that Lewin is definitely going to be the future of BBL, considering that he is the only... Actually, no, my sociably is also a Turkish player as well, but considering how young Lewin is, I'm going to guess that he might be the future of BBL esports, and they're going to be trying to build around him. But not too bad, but not too bad contracts. My guess is maybe majority of them might maybe leave by the end of the 2025 season. Fnatic are going to be very, very busy during the 2025 off-season to keep some of these players. Boaster, Chronicle, Leo, and Elmo Putty, the coach, are all in their last year of their contract. Althea and Kayak with a 2-year deal. Not too sure about Crashies. My guess, considering that, I don't know if he's going to stay for the entire season, but my guess he's going to be in a 1-year deal just to maybe help out with Leo, but I don't know. I mean, I could easily be wrong, but from what I've been seeing from Crashies, and I think he might only maybe play. He might only play maybe in kickoff or maybe for the entirety of the season. My guess is that Crashies will be in a 1-year deal. For the esports, with majority of them except for CNED in a 2-year deal. It's pretty interesting that CNED is the only one with a 1-year deal, but I guess it also shows that Zeus will be now the new duelist player. Bit surprising there, I'll be honest. I really thought CNED was going to stay with the team and potentially play for them as well, but from what it looks like, the roster is actually going to be Ada Captain, Mr. Farlem, Cracks, Yidaj, and Zeus. So I guess you say goodbye to CNED. It is ultimately very sad about it. It is ultimately very sad because I thought CNED was pretty good this year. Maybe not how he was last year, but I still think he was still alright and still pretty good. But I guess they just see that Zeus might be a better player than CNED, maybe a bit more flexible and potentially, but that's just kind of really how that goes. GIREXX, it's only just Purpo. That's it. Purpo is the only one that is noted in the database with a 1-year deal. Cloud, my guess, might be still a 1-year deal, even though he was taken off. He might maybe re-sign maybe for 2026. As for Rado, Westside, Tamasi, and even the coach as well of Pipson, 1-year deal maybe for Pipson, and then maybe the rest maybe 2-year deals, my guess. But we'll see when it actually gets released. The same story as well goes for Carmine Cole, as Martin and Zeiss are the only ones with a contract date, that being 2025, so they only have 1-year deal. As for Psyduck, Avis, Elite, Sagetsu, even Aang, 2-year deal, maybe, considering that's kind of the norm. Maybe Psyduck might even be a 1-year deal, considering that he is an import. But maybe it might be just a 2-year deal, I'll be honest, for Psyduck and for everyone else. Koi, Grabiner, and Shados are currently in their contract year in 2025. Soulcast, Filu, Flyer, and Gorilla with a 2-year deal. No surprises, that's kind of normal, like I said, over in the Americas. Not too sure what they're going to do with Grabiner and Shados. I thought Grabiner was pretty good. Shados definitely improved from where he was last year, so that's definitely a good sign. So maybe those two might maybe stay, or maybe one of them might leave, or maybe both will leave, but we'll see. Moving to Na'Vi, a 1-year deal for Angel and Shao left in their contract that they signed in 2024 or even 2023, not too sure. Hero, Kuala Noob, and Rucksack, all of them with a 2-year deal. Happy, not too sure. My guess, also a 2-year deal. Yeah, that's all I can really say. I'm not surprised at all. Let's just move on. Team Heretics is the only one who didn't make a single roster change, I don't think. Miniboo, Benji Fishy, all of them with a 1-year deal left in their contract. Rians, Wood, Boo, Nazino, and Weber, all of them with a 2-year deal. I think you already know this, but obviously I'm basing this off of the contract starts on the 1st of January 2025. So that's kind of where I'm saying like 1-year deal, 2-year deal, 3-year deal. So that's kind of where I'm getting that from. It's interesting that Benji Fishy and Miniboo are in a 1-year deal. I thought Benji Fishy was a very consistent player. Miniboo, he was a bit inconsistent at times, but I still think he's very, very good to be still in the roster for the long term. We'll just see if they're successful like they were in 2024. Team Liquid have been pretty busy as well, with Natos on a 2-year deal. I'm pretty sure he re-signed for, I think, 1 more year, I believe, in his contract. Kaiko, the only one's contract who ends in 2025, so he only has a 1-year deal left. Camo, Kamek, all of them, both of them with a 3-year deal. Patek and Lohan with a 2-year deal. Not too bad. I guess there's some stability in that roster. I'm just not too sure what's going to happen with Keiko. That's the only problem. But at the same time, Camo, he's basically going to be the duelist player, I believe, for this team. So I'm more interested to see of the roster for Team Liquid other than their contracts. Moving out to Team Vitality, everyone with a 1-year deal left in the contract with Kicks, Safe, and Trex. Not too sure about Durka, Les, and Faded. My guess maybe a 2-year deal. If they really want to keep Durka, maybe a 3-year deal. But I'm just not too sure, I'll be honest. But Kick and Safe and Trex, I'm pretty sure their contracts continue from 2024, so no surprise there. But as for Durka, Les, and Faded, 2-year deal, maybe for Les and Faded, and maybe a 3-year deal, maybe for Durka if they really want to keep him. Jumping now to Gentle Maze, and everyone is in a 1-year deal, which I'm very surprised about. I really thought that they were going to keep this roster maybe long term. I'm gonna guess they're going to see how this roster is and if they do produce some good results. Cadaver, I'm guessing, is keeping his contract from this year when he joined the team, pretty sure like in stage 2, I believe. As well, Robbie BK, Click, Mini, Zippit, and Gooked, they just signed a 1-year deal, which I'm very surprised about. I thought they wanted maybe a bit more stability in their future and not just a not too sure what's gonna happen in a bit of an unpredictable future. So I guess this team kind of wants to see how this roster goes. And if they do produce results, I'm going to guess that majority of them are going to stay. And the final one is Apex, which we have no idea what the contracts are going to look like. If I had to take a guess, mostly Hype, Avova, and maybe Danito, maybe in the 1-year deal, maybe into 2025. As for Fluorescent, maybe a 2-year deal. And then their 5th player, which potentially might be who is it? Batachinax. 2-year deal potentially as well. I don't know. I mean, Apex is very difficult considering that they are just an Ascension team. Hell, maybe everyone might be in a 1-year deal, which will not surprise me whatsoever. I mean, hell, look what happened with 2Game Esports. All of them are all in a 1-year deal. So, but hopefully when it gets released with the contracts, hopefully I'm correct. And the final one is Pacific, and I'll start off with DFM, and they have kept May for quite a while with a 3-year deal. Sears, Akami, Art, and Jingbun with a 1-year deal for some reason that they signed. I mean, I can understand Sears considering that his contract continues from 2024. As for Akami, Art, and Jingbun, I'm a bit surprised. I'm very surprised that they didn't give them at least a 2-year deal. GN also in a 3-year deal just like May, so I'm guessing that they're going to try and get as much as young talent as possible and I guess some hidden gems, and then they're going to try and put them into this roster. I generally, from what I've seen so far in the offseason, I think that all these players, even Ciaz, who was kind of on the bench for the entirety of the season and was kind of poo, he has improved massively, and his entire team have improved. They've been competitive in majority of offseason events that they've been a part of. Why not give them a 2-year deal? But alright, whatever. I mean, as for Malphobia, my guess is a 1-year deal. I'm guessing it's carrying over from 2024. That's my guess. DRX is really signing some young players. Athen, formerly known as Leviathan, has a 4-year deal just like Oxy. Mako with a 2-year deal, 3-year deal for Flashback and Free, and a 2-year deal for Hyunmin, including Tournament and Glow. I guess maybe makes sense maybe for Hyunmin, considering that he, you know, I mean, he has his Korean, but he's also from America, I believe. So I'm pretty sure he has dual citizenship, I believe. Flashback, I'm a bit surprised it wasn't a 2028 deal. I mean, I thought it was going to be a 2028 deal, but apparently it's not. Freeing, I'm glad at least it's a 3-year deal just to give him some more time to gel with the team. Mako, I can understand 2026 deal. I can understand it. I mean, he's the only veteran player in this team. So someone needs to lead them, and I'm glad Mako is one of them. And as for Athen, I mean, it shows that he is going to be the future of DRX. Genji's looking a bit spicy as well. Fox9 is the only one with a 2-year deal. Everyone else is in a 1-year deal. Even Solo, HSK, Munchkin, Charon, Texture, and even the newly recruited Yeoman is in a 1-year deal. It's quite surprising considering that I think quite a lot of people think that Foxy9 has really struggled to filling in the void of Meteor. As for Yeoman, I think he's been pretty good. I think he's been pretty impressive so far. Texture, Charon, Munchkin, Solar, and HSK, they are carrying over. Well, I think their contract carries over from next year. So I think they just signed a 2-year deal in 2024, and now it's going to be a 1-year deal. So I'm not surprised about those ones. Maybe Munchkin, considering that he left first, so then he came back, but whatever. But as for Yeoman, a bit surprised that it's not a 2-year deal. I think quite a lot of people would rather have Fox United in a 1-year deal than a 2-year deal. Globe Esports, who is basically now turned Filipino, a 3-year deal for Kelly S, Papachulo, Pachaku, and Udotan, and a 2-year deal for Crystal and Juvenile. Not surprised about the imports basically being a shorter contract compared to everyone else in Pacific. I'm not too sure how Pachaku's gonna go. Obviously, I know there's stuff about potentially Darion maybe joining the team just for kickoff, as Pachaku is having problems with visa. Udo 10, Papachulo, Kelly S. I'm interested to see how they go in top tier. I mean, I know how good Papachulo is. Udo 10, he was pretty impressive in China. Kelly S, he's been alright. So I'm interested to see how Globe Esports goes. Paper Rex will be fighting quite a lot of money for some of these players. Device, Something, and Mindfreak with a 1-year deal left in the contract. Forsaken, Jing, and Alex with a 2-year deal. Pretty sure Alex did sign an extension for 2 more years. As for Jing and Forsaken, not too sure if they signed that contract in 2024. Maybe they did, or maybe they re-signed. That might maybe be a possibility as well. As for Mindfreak, Something, and Devi, I'm not too sure. I think Devi might stay. Mindfreak might be saying it may be even Something. I think all of them might even stay, maybe for 1 more year potentially. But if a team comes knocking on the door with a boatloads of cash, then one of these players might go. Next up is RRQ with a 2-year deal for Munyet, Zafuro, Kushi, Jemken, and Ewok, and a 1-year deal for Estrella. Bit surprised. I thought Estrella was going to save, maybe was maybe going to have maybe a 2026 contract, but apparently not. I think everyone maybe signed. I know Kushi definitely signed in 2024, so it's going to be a 2-year deal when I'm guessing when that contract becomes active. As for Jemkin, I think he might have. I'm not too sure. I think I think he signed a 3-year deal, I believe. So I believe he did. So if that's the case, then he's going to stay for quite a while, including Ewok as well. Zafura Munyet, who ultimately Munyet joined pretty late into the season. I think he also signed a 3-year deal, I believe. So should be okay for RIQ. T1 Carpe with a 2-year deal, surprisingly, considering that we know he's not going to be playing. So I'm going to guess he's going to be helping out the coaching stuff. Stacks, Buzz, Meteor, Sylvan Orlan with a 2-year deal. Excurate, Izu, and Autumn with a 1-year deal. I'm going to guess that they're staying, so I'm going to guess that they signed that deal in 2024. A bit surprised though that Carpe is still going to be in the team, even though he was alright last year. This year in 2024. I'm just still a bit surprised that he's still staying in this team. Moving on to Talent Esports, and there's basically going to be a 2-year deal for Cruz, Premier Jet Boys, Ban, and Governor, and a 1-year deal for Frost. Are they maybe going to stay? Or maybe Frost, is he going to stay for another year? I'm not too sure. I highly doubt it. But Talent Esports, I'll be honest, this year had a very respectable season. So I expect them to maybe be the same. If not, maybe struggle a bit more. Next up is Team Secret. All of them, well, majority of them, I should say, won a 2-year deal with Jeremy, Jesse Vash, Envy, and Dummy, and a massive 4-year deal for 2GE and Wild Oreo. Now, obviously, it is a bit confusing of, Dummy potentially leaving the team, but I need to obviously say this. Contracts, yes, it gives you a future, but at the same time, it kind of depends on if the organization really wants you. So, in actuality, it doesn't really matter. It just shows that you are obliged, like you have to stay for that long, unless management or the organization says no, you can't stay any longer. So it's kind of like you have to do this, basically. I'm just very surprised of a 4-year deal for 2G and Wild Oreo. Like, yes, 2G and Wild Oreo were a very good acquisition to Team Secret. But at the same time, why that long? Like, if they struggle maybe in 2 years' time, then you'll kind of figure out like, oh, damn, that was actually kind of a waste of money, I'll be honest. But I mean, I expect maybe Jeremy, Jesse Vash, Envy, and Dummy to maybe stay maybe a bit longer. Jesse Vash, he's like in his 30s, I believe, so he's automatically gonna be great in my opinion. So should be alright for Team Secret, but we'll see. Zeta Division. What do I really say about this team with their contracts? Well, a 2-year deal for everyone except for CLZ with only a 1-year deal. Damn. I'm gonna guess that the 3 Fennel players and Jonta as well as the coach kind of came in as a package. That's my guess. I'm just very surprised that CLZ didn't, get a 2-year deal like his teammates of XCL and Cyota. So I'm just surprised about that. I would have thought that he was going to be in a 2026 deal and a 2-year deal, but apparently not for some reason. Which is a bit disappointing considering that I think he might be either getting robbed or maybe the team just doesn't trust him that much. Else, yes, he has big shoes to fill with Laz retiring. But it's just... I feel bad for him because he deserves to be in a 2-year deal, but maybe I'm going to be very, very wrong. Next up, Boom Esports with a 2-year deal for all of their players. Berserk, DOS9, Famous, NC Slasher, Shire, and Six Fingers, all of them with a 2-year deal. Bit surprising considering that from what we've seen from Ascension teams, we've seen a 1-year deal for all the players. Even if you join during the offseason, you're going to get a 1-year deal. So it kind of surprised me that everyone from Boom is going to have a 2-year deal. I guess it shows that Boom are pretty confident on this roster, and it shows that they want to stay as well. But it's going to be a bit risky if they fail to make it to any international event and they even lose as well in Ascension. Then that 2026 contract deal is going to be a bit questionable. And the final one is Nongshim Red Force, as everyone. We don't know, even like Cross, Danby, Francis, Ivy, Margaret, Persia, and even the coach of Seal Canon. No idea. My guess, maybe because Pacific is a bit different compared to everyone else in EMEA and even or even in Americas. 2-year deal. Maybe Cross, considering that I think he's still going to be in the team. So I think he's going to be the only member from the Split 3 roster to be with Simpraza Gaming. Maybe 1-year deal maybe for him. I'm going to guess maybe everyone else, maybe a 2-year deal, potentially. I think Persia might even get longer, considering of how impressive he's been. But ultimately, I'm not too sure. So that is really about it for the final This Week in VCT of this year. So now, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps, especially on this channel. So that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. Goodbye.